this is our second day going live. We'll have the scrimmage here, whatever today is, on was that Saturday, and then we'll come back next week and then have one more final scrimmage, and that'll be one where you're starting to get there, getting some of those guys out, and so we got a long ways to go still. We had a day off yesterday, and like anything is, I think just in general, kind of some guys were a little lethargic today, and so we gotta get them going, get their legs back in them. And they're at that point in camp, practice 7 when they've kind of hitting the wall a little bit, body's feeling tired. But that's how it is, you know what I mean? And we gotta get their legs back underneath them, and we gotta get a lot more physical. Today was short yardage, goal line, what you want to do live. Some 2-minute situations we did the other day that we'll do again in the scrimmage. So we'll pop on the tape and kind of see who did what. And we also got some young guys that are, a couple guys that are banged up that are fine, and some young guys that are stepping in and see what they can do if they're ready or not.
Today we're going to talk to Tyler Stolsky, and tomorrow we'll talk with Coach Schwan and some of the linebackers. Can you talk a little bit as a bird's eye view of a coordinator position, talk about the defense of those guys and what they're meaning into what you're trying to get done? Yeah,
well, Coach Schwan's I've known for a long time. We were together at Southeastern Louisiana, along with Coach Lacey, our head coach, and so I've had a good relationship with him. He was the first guy I hired when I came here. He's coached inside backers, outside backers, special teams. He's a great football coach, and so once again, it's not my defense. We kind of came in there and built this together as a whole defense of what we liked at every place that we've been, as we're starting to put it together and find that kind of identity of what we are. And so, with Tyler coming in, he came in the first window when we first got here, right when Coach Long was getting here. And so, right when I was coming in, some of the old staff, as they were recruiting him and all that, and so we lucked out with him. He's played a lot of football, he's smart, playing in the Big Ten, and so, he's got that walk-on mentality whenever he was at Minnesota, and then played in games against Ohio State and all that, and so I think he's excited about the opportunity. It's his time. He's having a leadership role, and he's up here all the time. He's up here all summer when everybody else left. He's walking to a position room, he's there by himself doing online class and out there working out, and he's just really another coach on the field, to be honest with you. He's smart, he's tough, he's competitive, he's making all the checks. He's everything that you want. Now I think he's just ready for go out and prove it and go do it.
Questions?
When it comes to this unit overall heading into Saturday, how are some of the competitions looking, and what are you really looking to see, whether it be from specific plays or just specific situations, that's really going to help you determine things that you head towards next week and the overall regular season?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of battles going on. We're two-spotting everything, right? And so that way guys are getting plenty of reps, and so there's guys that are over there with the 1s and 2s and sometimes with the 3s that are getting reps, and kind of mix and match who's in your rotation to see who kind of works with who. And because as you guys know, it's a long season and guys get hurt, and you got to figure out, okay, who's the third safety, the third corner, the third linebacker playing Sam, and could he also play Mike or Will? And those are things you're kind of getting figured out now. And and same thing up front. And there's guys that are maybe a third edge player that maybe had the ability to go inside on third down and go rush. And so those are things we're trying to figure out, for the scrimmage. And it's also situational football, and a lot of it, like Coach Kidley does, we just put the ball down and play it. Some certain periods you script, you never get in those situations, and I made a dumb call today on a stunt down the red zone that I know I can't make, that I would never make on a scripted period. So it's players and coaches learning, and so 2 minutes the other day, there's certain things, and all of a sudden the clock's rolling down and offense didn't have enough time to spike the ball and time ran out. So those are all the things that you learn and grow through it. You try to get all the corrections in practice. The scrimmage coming up, we'll do some 2-minute situations before half, end of game. We still got 4 minutes to go, and then just put the ball down and play it with tempos and 12 personnel. So they was short yardage goal line, and so all the different situations of the game within the game that the players need to understand, of chains and sticks and certain techniques they got to go, and so it's good for everybody.
Is there a balance of playing time? Obviously not now, but is there some type of idea for maybe trying to get time for veterans, but also trying to get your rookies and your fresh legs in and try and get them playing time as well?
Yeah, that's you kind of figure out right now as guys get opportunities of who can function and who had kind of deer in the headlights. And so we got a few guys right now that are going to play at an early age. And then there's some guys you're kind of figuring out, and they'll get some opportunities, especially in that second scrimmage as well. When we guys that we know and what spots we can take out, keep them healthy, and get some of these other guys. Are they ready? And then obviously, some Coach Scoob, some of those guys kind of break in with special teams and run down on kickoff a little bit and make a couple tackles, and that way they're comfortable. And like anything else, though, is still going out there and doing it. We had a scrimmage the other day where guys were fine doing normal things, and all of a sudden you go live in scrimmage and they go outside the box and try to do something they're not normally do. So that's where you kind of figure out of who can function, who can make calls and adapt and adjust to everything. And so that's what we got to figure out. And you don't have much time to do it, but here in these next 7-10 days is what we're trying to figure out, who we can put out there in those situations.
You guys have a good mix of underclassmen and veterans on the defensive side. Who has emerged as a veteran, as a leader so far?
We just mentioned Tyler Stolsky up front, and always when you have a linebacker that can communicate everything and get everybody lined up and everything, and starts obviously with him. So I've talked about CJ and Bryce inside, on the edge. There's a lot of competition. Those guys like EB's a guy that plays hard, doesn't say much, but you pop on the tape and he obviously flashes. Wilkie's coming along, Deshaun, and then the secondary, Therese is a guy that's been around that is going to be a guy for us. There's some competition. Dylan Williams is a guy that's played at North Texas and UTEP that came in, that's coming in and bringing some physicality to the room at safety. Zion is a true freshman that's going to play for us and do some really good things. And so there's some guys that are young, I think are starting to kind of feel that their role is going to have to be a little bit more than what a normal young guy is. And once they go out there and make plays and they kind of voice up a little bit. And some guys, be yourself, like Coach Kelly talked about all the time. Some guys like to lead through their actions, not just words. And so, but the main one you'll hear out there all the time, like I said, is Tyler. He's out there talking, and you got Leon who's coming along as well.
When it comes to the defensive back room, how have you seen the overall group progress, and how have guys really adjusted to really battling against this offensive scheme that can really put a lot on their plate in terms of route combinations and different things along those lines?
Yeah, I was messing with the receivers today on the sideline of, I was asking them how hard is it just you just memorize a route, you understand, because they got to understand the whole route tree for every position as well. And that's how it is on defense there's so many different situations of 12 personnel, tempo, check with me, they try to give them the best play possible with the quarterbacks having free access to get whatever play they want to get into, and so it obviously puts stress and conflict on you that I live this misery every day, and hopefully we can watch it on Saturdays and watch the other team do the same things that he's doing. But it's good, and like I said, that's the variety of this league is, we're talking about some option stuff next week that we got to get in and start preparing for that as that comes up. But that's what makes it hard on us. And Coach Kelly, you just look at the years and track record what he's been. He's always scored points in a variety of ways, and it's not just throwing the ball. Sometimes it's been running the quarterback, 12 personnel, 13 personnel, and so he's going to find a way to get the ball in the end zone, and so it makes it hard on us.
From Tuesday's scrimmage, were there any players that really popped out and impressed you?
Yeah, I'm looking back. I'm getting all these things in my mind just from Tuesday. Dylan Williams had a really good day at safety. He picked the ball off in the end zone, had some physical hits. Deshaun Baptiste over at N had a good day. And and it's situational stuff that we did where not everything was live. There's a 2-minute drill, and so that's why we put the ball down there and played it today. There's still some questions on some guys that go out there and can they tackle and who can function in space and all that. And so, like I said, like Zion's a kid that's gonna play a lot of snaps for us. He's got big potential. He works hard. He wants to be great. The moment's not too big for him, and can play a variety of roles. And so, you guys will see him here pretty soon. So like I said, at linebacker with Tyler, and some of these guys have been kind of banged up. We're getting some other guys some different reps in there to go out there and see what they can do and function. But the good news of what we have is there's not a guy getting 40 reps and then the backup's getting 10. You look at the rep sheet and everyone's getting 22 reps, 18 reps, 24, and so we got a mixture, especially up front and the interior D line, which is a good thing. And as long as Coach Kelly's not going too fast and lets us sub every once in a while.